This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
Thank you, Alex. Some may say this is the finale of the day, certainly as far as I'm concerned. I love doing this part. We're at the Stamford Dog Show, obviously, on the Meadows. I'm here with Sam from Empingham Dog Training Club and Ava, who's 2 years old, who's a collie.
Yep, she's a 2-year-old blue and white collie. She's only been doing agility for about 18 months, so she's still quite new to it.
And you just went round this course in how long? 33 seconds. 33.13. That's. Is it really that? So it could come down to a hundredth of a second then between us.
It could do.
So we did a practice run. I think it's as hard actually for you as a as a leader basically to remember where the course goes. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I've walked round the numbers 2 or 3 times just to try and get it in my head. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Should we do this together then, Ava? Right. I need the ball in one hand.
Yeah.
And the treats. Are you ready to go?
When you're ready then, Rob.
Okay. Here we go then. Over the first jump. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Tunnel. Good girl. Good girl. That's it. Over, here. No. Round. That'll do. Over the A board. Round here. That one. Come on, over. Come on. You know I've got the treats, don't you? Over. Good girl. Over. Over. And round. Tunnel. And weave. Weave. Good girl. Over. And over here. And over. And through. Good girl. Over. And over. Oh, good girl. Have a treat. There you go. That was a bit more than 33, wasn't it?
45.65.
Considering we missed one and went back, I think we did all right.
Rutland Radio.
Minton, Grace, Zach, Cruz, KJ, Eloise, Freddie.
Now, some of the children here at Edith Weston who actually learnt this dance today. What sort of stuff did you do?
We danced to a song from Little Mix called Salute.
Do you think Little Mix are like really popular here? Do a lot of people you know like them?
Well, they give everybody inspiration. I think they are really popular to a lot of kids around the places. They're amazing.
Who can name any Little Mix songs?
Salute, Touch and Black Magic.
Yeah?
No More Sad Songs.
That's true, we play them all on Rutland Radio. Go on, another one.
Well, there's loads. We can't.
There is loads, exactly.
Yeah, we can't choose one. They're all amazing.
They're real superstars, aren't they? How does it feel actually being taught by someone who works with them every single day?
It's amazing.
And has this inspired you to maybe do dance later on in life?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
What do you think it would be like actually working on a tour all the time, like dancing?
Amazing.
Claudia Manetto.
How on earth did you find yourself in Rutland today then?
Well, a very good friend of mine invited me down to come and teach at this lovely school, so I thought I'd come down and take a little time off my schedule and come down and have some fun.
You have quite an amazing job. Can you tell us what it is?
Yes, I can actually. I'm a commercial dancer, so I work for various artists, various bands, various TV shows. Currently, I am touring with Little Mix, so yes, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
And is that quite an intense thing? I mean, you're part of a team, I guess, are you?
Yeah, normally there's either 4 of us or 8 of us, male dancers. And yes, it's very hard work, but the love and the passion of it kind of overrides the hardness of it. You kind of just tend to ride the wave and you get to see amazing places, do what you love, and travel the world with people that you consider as friends.
So you're on stage with them as well then, as part of that?
Yeah, I dance behind them. So yeah, I tend to kind of get the fun aspect of that instead of the forefront. They are the band, we just dance behind them, which still absolutely love. It's amazing.
Tell us what you've been doing with the children here at Edith Weston today.
Just giving them a little trial to see how they are with dance and stuff. They do dance here already, but just giving them a little taster of what they could potentially have to start off their future, really, if they want to go into that. Some people just may do it for passion, some people just do it for the love of it, some people may do it for exercise, and some may end up being the next generation of commercial dancers or ballet dancers or contemporary dancers. So it's just giving them a taster in something that they can think about for their future.
And Little Mix, for the age that they are and for the time that it is, they're like a massive influence, musically for them.
Oh, of course, especially for kids nowadays as well. They're giving them kind of hope that you can almost achieve anything. You can come from nothing and you can go somewhere. And that's something that I believe in as much as they do. And I think that they're a real testament of hard work and persistence, really. And I think that's a really good way of showing kids and students that if they work really hard for something, they can really achieve their dreams.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Rutland Radio coming up to 5 to 9. It was the biannual, every 2 years, Rutland Ride and Stride that took place on Saturday. Not the best weather for it. I imagine you got wet if you attempted. And there was a group of 3 who attempted to visit all 64 Rutland churches on Saturday, as organiser Richard Folks explained to me when we chatted last week.
Ben Finley, Jeff Bentham and Ryan Henry. They're obviously very serious cyclists because this is quite a challenge. I think they're probably cycling 110, 120 miles. And bear in mind, you have to visit each church, so that probably adds 2 minutes per church. 64 churches, you can do the maths. That doesn't leave them much more than 7 hours. If they're aiming to do it in 9 hours, which is their target, then that leaves them about 7 hours for 110 miles. We're a hilly county, that's hard work.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing, and it's never been done before.
And Ben Finley joins me on the line this morning. Ben, how are you feeling after all that serious cycling on Saturday?
Yeah, not too bad. Legs a little bit sore, but not too bad.
110 miles of cycling there or thereabouts, but this pressure to actually do it in the time allowed. Normally 8 hours for the Ride and Stride, but the organisers allowed you 9. You managed the whole thing in 8.5 hours, visiting all of the 64 Rutland churches.
That's right, yeah. Well, yeah, we did it with half an hour to spare, and we stopped for half an hour for lunch, so not bad.
So basically 8 hours of visiting the churches, so you did it in the allotted time, effectively.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, how was it? I mean, it was extreme weather at times on Saturday, wasn't it? If every time you got sunshine, you never seemed to be that far away from a thunderstorm.
Well, I think we had reasonable weather for the first, 3, 4 hours. It was pretty much after we stopped for lunch that, things started getting a bit wet. It was quite windy as well, but torrential raining. I think we had 5 episodes, of pretty bad rain, riding through rivers pretty much. So.
Yeah, I can imagine. And your route was secret until, today really. You started off at Belton Church, ended at Ketton, so presumably you designed your route so you could have the longest kind of straight parts and then, have a tough climb at strategic points.
I pretty much organised it so we did the harder climbs, so anything below Rutland Water we did first. So we went from Belton to Tixover and then back up across to Ridlington, then ended up in Oakham for lunch, and then Empingham, sort of worked our way to Empingham, then back to Whissendine, and then back over the top to Clipsham and Essendine, and then back to Ketton.
Well done on completing it. The first time it's ever been done, and obviously you were raising money for the Rutland churches as well. I know All Saints in Braunston, or not All Saints in Braunston. I'm trying to think what it's called, but Braunston Church was one of those you were raising money for. That's
right. Yeah.
Well, what an incredible feat! Do you think you'll repeat it at some point, or is that now consigned to the record books?
We have no plans yet.
No, I can well
never
imagine.
Say never.
Yeah, exactly. Ben, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. Great to know that you completed it, and thanks for sharing your experiences here on Rutland Radio this morning.
No problem, thank you.
Rutland Radio.
So it's Rutland Radio breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani, and we're back banging the drum to get a few people signed up if off the back of this interview, will be fabulous, for the Perkins Great Eastern Run and Anna's Hope 5K Fun Run. It's all happening at the Embankment in Peterborough on the 8th of October. I've been involved in many different times, actually, from the half marathon to the fun run. Carol Hughes is back with us again. Carol, you're going to be starting the fun run this time, yet again, firing off those fairy wings.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Peterborough is wonderful because it's nice and flat. There's lots of people who are running with you as well, so it's got that real kind of big community spirit.
Most certainly. The public are going to be feeding you jelly babies on the way round. We've got the police leading the race this year yet again. They informed me they're going to be wearing their wings, wands and tutu. I think they enjoyed it last year.
Excellent stuff.
And my other half is the dinosaur, as you know, and it's a fantastic day for everybody, whether you're a runner or a walker or just want to have some fun. You can come as yourselves or you can dress up. We've got people dressing as Spider-Man and Batman and a parrot. I've even got BMW coming. They're actually going to be running, or I should say walking, around with a Mini. They're taking the wheels off at the moment, so that'll be quite exciting. And we're going to have lots of music around the event as well. As far as the half marathon's concerned, it's one of the fastest half marathons in the country, and we've got people coming over from Kenya to try and claim the prize money in the half marathon. And you can run for any charity you want, but obviously I'd love you to run for Team Anna's Hope. Anna's my little girl that I lost through a brain tumour 10 years ago now, and it's our 10th anniversary. The money that it costs to enter goes straight to the council to put the race on. All we get is any sponsorship money that you can manage to raise. Now, £30 will help a child for 1 week and £125 will help a child for 1 month. Brain tumours are now the biggest cancer killer of children and young people in this country. Any child that's been touched by a brain tumour in the east of England now is funded by Anna's Hope. We fund all the rehabilitation with every single penny going to the charity.
You've helped hundreds of children, haven't you, as a charity over the 10 years? There's been children over the years who've been battling brain tumours in our immediate area as well. In fact, there's one who you saw on front page of the paper just a couple of weeks ago, is living in Deeping and 1 year old, and her brain tumour seems to have stopped growing.
Yeah, well, little Lucy was actually brought home a few months ago now to pass away, and she's been sleeping with Anna's Hope Fairy badge over her cot all this time. She was 9 weeks when she was diagnosed. But, you know, she's still here. She's learning to walk. She's doing really well. There's going to be lots of mothers in the area whose children have got brain tumours, have realised the work that Anna's Hope are doing. We have a special therapy team in Addenbrooke's. Our work is pioneering, and in this last year alone, we've completely transformed over 122 children's lives that wouldn't have been helped before. We have a service called Brainbow. We're the co-founders of this service. It's pioneering. Anna's Hope is the major funder and funds all the rehabilitation for any child that's been touched by a brain tumour. For those that are lucky enough to survive, their lives can be severely compromised, and we're helping children from diagnosis during treatment and beyond. And there's one young man I met last Christmas. He was 4 when he had his brain tumour. He's 16 now, and until Anna's Hope came along, he hasn't been able to go to school. He hasn't been able to get up in the morning, put clothes on, and just take everything for granted that you do out there. But I'm really pleased to say now that, you know, he is going to school. He's got sticky up hair like any other 16-year-old, and he's been to his school prom, which is really nice. And then we've got another little boy who lives locally. His mum's running as well. He surprised me the other day by banging on the doorbell to say, I've come to get my mum's T-shirt. And so it was like George coming, it's like Tiger coming for tea. But he's a lovely little boy, and he's really appreciative of what we're doing for him.
So if you fancy running, it's the 8th of October. There's the half marathon. There's the Anna's Hope 5K fun run. It is a phenomenon that day, the 8th of October, with the 2 runs. I mean, thousands of people actually take part, don't they?
Absolutely. There's usually about 7,000 that go into the half marathon. We're hoping to sell the Anna's Hope 5K fun run out this year, which is great.
And it all takes place at Peterborough Embankment on Sunday the 8th of October. And Carol Hughes from Anna's Hope, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Hello, my name is Tom Ray.
And I'm Nicola Ray.
So, Tom, can you just remind us what happened when you actually contracted sepsis?
Okay, so I was husband and father, 38 years old, living up in Hambleton in the middle of Rutland Water. Had the life of Riley. It was really, everything was going really good. I never had a day sick in my life, really. I was a kind of fit, strong, healthy guy. Suddenly, one afternoon, December 1999 it was, I started to feel really badly ill, but I was throwing up. I was really, really hot, then really, really cold. I felt very, very dizzy and losing kind of consciousness. I thought it was just man flu, so I kind of put myself to bed, and thought I'd sleep it off like you do, but it got serious and much worse over the next few hours, and I drifted into a coma, became unconscious and didn't wake up for the next 4 months. When I had woken up, I'd had my arms and my legs amputated, and all of my face from my eyes downwards, and I couldn't remember who I was or anything about my past life, so it was devastating.
And your story was made into a film, Starfish, and it was filmed locally, but how was the reception with that?
It's been just amazing. It's gone worldwide, really. It's connected us with a whole lot of people who've experienced sepsis, a lot of survivors and their families, and
put us into contact with the Sepsis Trust, which is a charity that we had no idea existed and would have been really, really useful 17 years ago when Tom first got ill. Also, it's kind of just allowed us to be part of the kind of creative industry that we loved being part of originally, and an opportunity to Tom was a body double on the film, and I got to work in the art department helping with kind of creating the sets, and that was absolutely fantastic. It was a dream come true, and that all happened in a hangar up at Cottesmore, so it was crazy.
So do you think it has boosted the awareness on sepsis?
Definitely. There was a growing campaign just before we made the film, but it's enabled the Sepsis Trust to really put the experience of going through sepsis into a personal context so that people can see the kind of devastation that it wreaks. We had 2 very tiny children, and we had the film shows the impact both on the relationship that Nick and I had, but also the pressure that builds on a carer in that situation, where she suddenly, her husband has effectively become a third child, and Nick was looking after me, in the kind of way that a wife just doesn't expect to have to with her husband. The film itself showed the real serious impact, and also charted the years of rehabilitation, because it's not only the actual initial drama and then coming to terms with amputations, but it's the 15-20 years afterwards when you're trying to rebuild your finances. We lost our house, it bankrupted us, and we had to really just start again from zero, but at the same time keep the family together, and that was very hard. But the film, I like the aspect in particular. There's a lot of stuff I like about the film, but one of the great things is that it speaks up for the carers, and they do so much in our community, and they get no thanks for it.
And to continue raising the awareness, you've written a book as well.
Yeah. Well, what happened was we were writing before Tom got ill anyway. It was part of what we both used to do, and I can remember Tom at uni, like being the student who won the novel writing prize, which to me was just incredible. So I kind of always knew of him as a writer, and he kept that going for many, many years. When Tom was ill, writing was really important. When he was in hospital, one of the first things I'd do, even though he couldn't speak, I'd take a laptop in, and he was able to sort of poke at the keys to be able to write things and communicate when he wasn't able to speak. Also, our daughter Grace was nearly 3. She wouldn't come and see him in a hospital, so he was actually able to kind of sort of semi-dictate stories for her so that he didn't lose contact with her, and he could kind of try to explain to her what was happening to him in a way that a 3-year-old would understand. So we invented a bear story about a family of bears, and daddy bear and mummy bear and baby bear and this sort of thing. So we had diaries, so we got kind of a bin bag of bits and bobs, which were all these various pieces, and plus Bill Clark, the director of the film, looked at the diaries, talked to us about our writings, and helped create the arc of the film from discussions with us and our original writings, and it meant that after the film came out, we still had all of this resource, which was our voice. Even though the film is our story, it's not necessarily in our voice, because it's more of a kind of like it's a story arc, you know, that kind of has got a beginning, it's got an end, you know, it's kind of got the kind of drama that you can get. Whereas real life is messy and complicated. Our writing was that, you know, enabled us to kind of get across how messy and complicated it is, and it continues to be in a kind of glorious way. So that's what Starfish the book is. It's all of those writings, being able to get our voice out there. Also because we can update as well. The film stopped around 2004, 2005, but actually obviously quite a lot has happened since then. So we were able to, you know, just kind of explore some of the things that had happened since, with the kids growing older, that, you know, Tom and Fred kind of building a kind of great relationship through their joint love of football and you know, all of these things, you know, like seeing Leicester City win the Premiership is something that you can kind of explore and chart in the book, what we weren't able to kind of, obviously there was no place for it.
And it's also about charting some of the downsides as well.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, the film has, as Nick said, has got a professional story arc, but you know, as Nick hinted, you know, life's not so simple, and overcoming something like this is a daily challenge. You know, you have and I'm still learning how to cope with disability. You know, how to play a positive kind of meaningful role in the family and in society. It has its ups and downs. So the book charts that in a more perhaps a more realistic way.
Also, we were able to include quite a lot of the kind of medical nitty-gritty, like the day-to-day detail. You know, when Tom was admitted, just on a kind of minute-by-minute basis, I'd recorded all of this sort of stuff just to kind of get it out of my head. I thought if I'd get it on paper rather than out of my head, then maybe I wouldn't be carrying it around as baggage quite so much. And so that was kind of, it had a sort of cathartic role to do, I suppose, for both of us.
That's important. This is a very important point that you make there. The fact that you set it down and charted it. Now, what happened to us was a classic case of how not to deal with sepsis, in that, you know, it was 12 hours before I had any kind of antibiotics, and there is a 4-hour window, and it's been established now that, you know, if you don't get those antibiotics and a diagnosis within 4 hours in A&E or in intensive care, you're going to die. And we're talking about something really serious here. 44,000 deaths every year still. This is bigger than heart disease and lung cancer, for example. So, you know, us setting that down is a very useful way for the medical community to learn. And there is a huge campaign now led by Jeremy Hunt, the Health Secretary, and more aggressively by the UK Sepsis Trust to shorten that treatment time, so that and we're talking about saving 10,000-20,000 lives every year.
Ideally, there's a golden hour, so if you can spot sepsis within and get antibiotics and fluids in within the hour, then everything is retrievable, and every minute that you delay after that is real damage, is genuine damage. And Tom took it to the extreme. People can't go much further without actually just dying, but for some reason he didn't. So it just means that we were able to get the nitty-gritty detail across in a way that the film wasn't able to.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much to take in. And I've seen the film Starfish, and it was really, I thought it was eye-opening. So now your book, it's going to be more personal, isn't it? It's going to be literally from both of your points of views and everything that's gone on. Is there anything else that in the time that the film's set, is there anything that the book has that the film doesn't portray?
I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic, and Nick and I had just a most amazing coming together in the mid-90s, after being away from each other for about 10 or 12 years. Nick and I were at university together in the early 80s, but we never got together at all, and we went our separate ways after university. and one thing led to another. We were both in other relationships, but I kind of held on to her contact details, and eventually an opportunity came for us to meet up, and we met up about 10, 12 years after university, and it was just the most exciting, wonderful, life-affirming kind of coming together that you can imagine, and we weren't able to show that in the film, and I always felt that was a bit of a shame, so I was very, very keen to put that down in the book and to show people, you know, and it kind of increases the jeopardy in some respects to the whole kind of storyline, because it was so incredible that we were able to be together and to get married and have children, and suddenly this incredible thing that happened to me threatened all of that, you know, in the space of a few hours, and very nearly took it away. And I always feel like, you know, I was in a coma for all that time, 4 months, and the thing that really dragged me out of it was that desire to get back to what was just, you know, the chance of a lifetime to be with the, you know, the one person that I always wanted to be with.
Oh, that's really lovely. So, with the book, where's it available? Where can people get their hands on it?
All right. Okay. The book is available on Amazon. You can buy it as a paperback. You can also get it as an ebook. So it's just like any old book on Amazon. But I've also been into the local bookshops, so I've had a word with the guys in Walker's in Oakham, and also in Uppingham at the bookshop there, and I'm hoping they're going to have it in stock this week as well, so you can get your own, you know, your own copy. Hopefully we might be able to get a local signing together as well, so that there'll be some, you know, books that Tom and I have signed to, if you're into that, if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it's a great, you know, it's a great story. And the thing I'd really like to get across to people is, you know, if we can get through this, you know, having something so devastating, you know, losing your arms and legs and all of your face and being away from your family for all that time, if we can get, you know, if I can get up from that and learn to walk again, and get back into the family and get back to work, you know, which is essential for anybody these days, because there's no safety net, and if I can do that, and then now, you know, Nick and I are standing up in front of audiences, hundreds of people all around the world, talking about resilience, then I'm hoping that will send a message to everybody that whatever it is that's bothering them and dragging them down and creating obstacles for them is something that, you know, systematically, if they break it down, they can try and face that and overcome it, and you can't do it alone, and that's the message we want to give out, is you can't do it alone. All those tough guys out there that think they can't, you can't do it. You have to make allies, and you have to, you know, develop friendships and work together and compromise and adjust your expectations every day. But there's, you know, there are all kinds of different kinds of happiness out there. You know, they're not necessarily what you expected. You know, I was expecting us to go from strength to strength and earn more and more and get bigger and bigger houses and better and better cars, and we've not been able to do that. But at the same time, we've held it all together, and I think that's a good message for everybody.
Rutland Radio.
Mark Wilkes. I'm a crew manager at Oakham Fire Station.
And what's going on at the fire station then?
Well, this Saturday we've got a charity car wash, so it's in aid of the firefighters charity, and that's from 10 o'clock till 4 o'clock on Saturday the 16th.
Is it a set amount or is it donation?
No, it's all donations, so hopefully the more we raise the better it is for the charity.
And what does the fire... It sounds quite self-explanatory, but what does the firefighters charity do?
Well, it supports both serving and retired members of the fire service, both from injuries at work, so injuries on duty, and their families as well. And it's for anything, mental health issues that could be experienced from, you know, different kinds of jobs that we go to. Obviously, some are quite horrific. So yeah, it supports us in every way: physiotherapy, and all the way down the line in every way, shape and form. Just if as many people from Rutland can get along to Oakham Fire Station, like I say, between 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock, that would be great. The firefighters will be there to clean your kit.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
So, Neil, tell us about what's happening on the 1st of October. We're in a Volkswagen van here, which is yours, which is going to be at Rutland Water, and basically you've invited, as many as you know to come along?
Yeah, basically we put a piece out on Facebook to try and arrange just a VW meet. I've never seen a big one up the water before, up at Rutland Water. I thought, because my wife's suffering with cancer, what a good idea to get a lot of VWs together for a good cause to try and raise as much money as possible for cancer research. So basically on the 1st of October, on the Sunday, we've had that much interest, probably over 200 vans turn up. Anything basically Volkswagen, not just vans but cars, so it should be a good meet.
You can't get a better title, can you, than Reservoir Dubs?
No, we sat in home and Will Costain from Anglian Water was with us at the time, and we were all thinking of different names, and all of a sudden he just said, Reservoir Dubs.
There is very much a kind of club, isn't there? I mean, I've known my brother's got an older camper van, and the whole wave and everything like that, and they're looking after each other.
Oh yeah, the Volkswagen scene is really, really big, but there's not that many local. What most people know is Santa Pod near Bedford and probably Newark Showground.
Now, I've seen the notes about it that said there's no electric hookups and stuff like that, but can people actually stay there? Is there an overnight element to it, or is that not allowed at Rutland Water?
We've been with the management and they've allowed us to camp overnight on the Saturday evening, so if anybody wants to turn up on Saturday during the daytime, because you've got all the facilities still, they've kindly let us use the showers. We've got running water up there, so just basically like a campsite with the added bonus of such a beautiful area.
So people are paying to camp there. Are you hoping the public will come along and see and support as well?
Yes, obviously if we get the amount of vans that we're hoping for, there'll be some good sites with all the vans lined up hopefully, and also we're organising a charity raffle. We've had some brilliant donations for prizes. Everybody's been so kind, including Anglian Water themselves obviously, and the people I work with and friends and family. And it doesn't matter who you ask, people are obviously affected by cancer, and as soon as you mention that word, people put their hands in the pocket and help, which is what we need.
What time to get underway on Sunday the 1st?
Hopefully we'll be there obviously over the weekend, but the centre opens at 9, so people start arriving at 9, and hopefully everybody will stay till the end, which hopefully be round about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Obviously, because that time of year it does get dark a little bit, and we, fingers crossed, we've got people coming maybe from Germany just for the weekend, which is good. And places like Cornwall are interested, Manchester. I've had some fantastic reviews and people putting the word about, and the amount of people that just sent a message, can we come, can we come? Everybody's welcome. It doesn't matter who you are, and I'll be honest with you, as long as the weather's good, hopefully. Obviously this time of year it's not, but we should have a good weekend.
And that's all around the Whitwell entrance?
Yes, yeah, that's at Bulbrig Lane, obviously at Whitwell, and this year being the first year, we're a bit unsure how many people are going to turn up. Obviously a lot depends on a few things, but we want it to grow if possible every year, so we may be doing it every year, and an annual event. So it could be the new Rutland Volkswagen scene, hopefully.
Lucy, can I talk to you about what you've been through in a nutshell? I mean, it's been a long old road for you, hasn't it? What kicked it off to start with?
I just had a persistent cough back in 2015, went backwards and forwards to the doctors, and then in May last year was diagnosed with lung cancer, and I'm a non-smoker, so that was a bit of a kick in the teeth. Went through a summer of chemo radiotherapy, quite intense treatment, which resulted in surgery in the autumn, which I lost half a lung, and it was all going really well. It was going fantastically. Was told in April this year that I'd got the all clear. There was no sign of the cancer. So a really tough 9 months, but it all paid off. But then less than a month later, I started to feel a bit strange, a bit dizzy, seeing some funny flashing lights, and went to the doctors. Subsequently went to see a neuro specialist and then went for a scan. And within 10 days I was in Queens having surgery on a brain tumour. I had 2 brain tumours diagnosed as secondary cancers to the lung cancer that I had last year. I've undergone some more radical treatment. I'm just waiting now to find out what the next move is. It's looking okay. It's incurable, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that it is manageable with fingers crossed and the right treatment, which comes from the research that's gone in the past. Hopefully I'll be able to have a few more years under my belt yet.
What about this event, 200 vans all showing their support really for you and for the research?
Yeah, it's not just for me, but it is genuinely for the cancer research. Like Neil has just said, there is nobody that's not affected by it in some way through friends and family. And the only reason I'm here today is through past research. You know, I've gone through some pretty radical treatment, and that's only come about from just the constant research that's being done. So, to me, seeing everybody here and hopefully digging deep in their pockets and funding more research is just so important, because it does give people, it gives people a chance. It gives people a chance of a normal life.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. The last time I saw our guest probably was as a judge on that comic relief talent show, I suppose you could call it, for want of a better expression. It's very kind to the contestants, I thought, as well. Catherine Ryan, welcome to Rutland Radio. We're talking about people who have more money than both of us put together, would you say?
Oh, yes, Rob. To have a yacht, you need billions of dollars, I think. I was on a yacht filming How'd You Get So Rich. That costs like $35 million.
Wow.
But then it costs millions to keep it up every year. You got to hire all the staff. Then you got to put all the artwork in it. You've got to have the jacuzzi, the infinity pool, the secret James Bond entrance. You've got to have the crystal staircase. I mean, standard, Rob.
Standard indeed, yes. And actually you can see a whole load of these at the yachtmarket.com Southampton Boat Show, which is in just a few days' time. And this is really, I suppose, where you can go along and dream.
Oh, yes. And I think that what I really loved about the people that worked on yachts and sold the yachts and provided accoutrements for the yachts is they'd grown up around the water and boats. And sort of that's how I grew up. We lived on a lake in Canada and a river. I mean, everyone in Canada sort of lives on a lake and a river. It's how we roll.
Yes.
And we had paddle boats and paddle boards and little canoes and kayaks. My dad did a lot of sailing in Ireland. And the Southampton Boat Show is for the whole family, anyone who loves boats. There's free stuff to do there, bumper boats, all types of things to see, from the really low end to the super, super yacht, high-end launch of amazing boats like the Princess 55.
Princess 55.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the price tag? Is it in million?
Probably.
Yeah. We're actually based in England's smallest mainland county. We have a wonderful big lake called Rutland Water here. Awful lot of sailing. It's not so much luxury boats, more kind of sporting, competitive boats and for disabled people as well. But an amazing facility. If you've ever been to our county, I notice you're coming to Kettering soon.
Yeah, that's pretty near.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I've been all up and down the country touring, and I know more towns than people expect with my accent, but I've been there.
Tell us about your tour, which you've just added a whole load of dates to, haven't you?
Yes, it launches September 21st, so just time for me to get to the Southampton Boat Show that starts September 15th. And I love to do something with my daughter before I go on tour, because then I'm busy. I'm just touring until March 2018. Pretty much as many places as I can get to. We're going to Wales and to Belfast and to the Republic of Ireland. I hesitated. The Republic. It's because I'm going to Dublin, which upsets my dad. He's very up Cork.
Right.
Yeah.
The Irish roots.
Yeah, my dad's from Cork, but I'm going to Dublin on this occasion, a place that I love, and all around the UK.
So how old's your daughter then?
She just turned 8. Yeah, she's in school today. I miss her. She's a real boating person, too. She really loves to be on my dad's little sailboat that he's got in Canada and do fishing.
And how was the first day back for you and her then?
It was fine. I mean, she's of an age now. A young woman of 8 years old is basically a teenager. I
Yeah, they
don't.
are these days, aren't they?
They are. I don't do the first day of school photo, though.
You must be the only one who doesn't.
Well, there's something to me about putting a photo of your child wearing the logo of their school outside your front door with your address on it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. You do have to be careful because you never quite know who's looking on the internet, do you?
But I do love when my friends share their photos of their children. I'm so far away. I love to see how everyone's growing up. They grow up so fast, don't they, Rob?
They do indeed. We've got a 5.5-month-old, and she's already. Yeah, I mean, she's nearly talking. I wonder what her first word will be.
Well, they say Dada is an easier sound to make with your mouth than
Yeah.
Mama. What's her name, do you say?
Florence.
Florence, what a beautiful name. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much, and lovely to talk to you this morning, Catherine Ryan. Thanks very much for joining us here on Rutland Radio. Good luck at the boat show. Good luck on the rest of your tour as well. Do you say break a leg to comedians?
Yes, you do.
Well, there you go. I just have. Thank you very much for being on.
Thank you, Rob.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
I'm Shannon, Amelia, Tom, Anna, Charlie, Whistendine C Primary School.
And we're talking about your new fitness drive at school. How's it working?
It's going really good, and the body coach has decided to get at least 1 million children to get active. We've done it every day so far. Even the teachers have got involved. The teachers are aching and hobbling around school. I wish we can do it every day of every week, of every month, of every year.
Wow, is it that good?
Yes.
So what sort of stuff do you do then?
We do jumping jacks and running on the spot.
And how long does this all kind of go on for?
20 minutes.
So like every day you're doing 20-minute workout, really?
Yeah, so we've got rid of assembly and we just put in fitness instead.
Does it kind of set you up well for the day ahead then?
Yeah, but you are slightly aching afterwards and very tired.
I suppose it's designed to sort of energise you a bit, isn't it, you know, for learning?
We usually do it instead of assembly, but we always do assembly on Fridays still.
Do you know of any other schools that are taking part, so getting 1 million children to do this?
Well, I think St Nicholas and Exton and some other ones.
So the ones that are kind of in your group of schools, basically?
Yeah. There are some in different countries as well, in Germany and France.
So how do you all link up then?
Well, the body coach does it live and he gets everybody to do it at the same time.
So he's on the internet, basically,
Yes.
you know, on a big screen in front of
Yeah.
everyone. So what sort of notice did you get for this then? Was it literally like you started back at school and one of the teachers said, oh, by the way, this is what we're doing from today?
Yeah. Well, we kind of started, and then when we got to school, we looked at the chart and saw that we were doing something new.
So you're enjoying it and you really want to do it every day, is this true?
Yes. Yeah, it's really fun.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. Stamford Court Exchange is getting a bit of a reputation for being a great comedy venue, and to prove that, tonight Craig Campbell is in town. Craig, this is your first time in Stamford?
I honestly don't remember.
There we go.
I know as soon as I come around the corner into the main street of town, I'll be like, oh, it's here again. But it may well be that I haven't. But I've been here for so long that I can't imagine that I've not been, on the fringes of it at least.
You've been in the UK, as you say, for a while.
I live up in Suffolk at the minute. I lived in Devon for about 15 years solid. And I've been in the UK for 20 plus now. So I'll be in Inverness after Stamford and then Elgin on from Inverness. So, suddenly you're in the Highlands of Scotland, and it's like being on holiday every day, in fact. And I never lose that. And you can imagine, like, heading up to Scotland after Stamford just reinforces it. It's just like, if I have time, I take the scenic route. If I have more time, I take the more scenic route. Yes. I remember when I first did shows in England, Manchester and High Wycombe were my first two ever. And I was, talking to them as though Scotland was next door, and was really quite thrown to see the reaction of, like, have you, not been to Scotland before?
But I guess it's good to be a Canadian in terms of, you can talk about the madness of America, you can talk about the perhaps reserved nature of the British person.
Yeah, we have a very nice balance in terms of, right out of the gate at school, we are very much British scholastically in terms of, all our school books and whatnot. But as with yourselves more recently than in the past, but certainly when I was a kid growing up, we were just as now, just overwhelmed with American culture. Our anchor point of Canadian culture is predominantly French. Things like Cirque du Soleil or, the things that are quite unique to French Canada are international brand names.
Justin Bieber, you must be glad that Justin Bieber's made it as big as he has.
I'm over the moon. I don't know how I haven't interjected in the conversation how glad I am for Justin Bieber's success right now.
Yes.
If the NHS works out, I'll probably have 2 new hips by the time I see Stamford on the second time around on this tour. I've learned, in fact, to not complain just because I know that there will be people, a decent percentage of your listeners will be rheumatoid arthritis bound, and as a osteoarthritis sufferer, I've just learned not to open my mouth. Although I'm in devastating pain normally, I wake up crook. I can't run or cycle like I used to, or in some ways anyway at all.
Craig Campbell, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio. Have a great night in Stamford tonight. And, do you know, people will be watching exactly the way that you walk on stage going, oh, it's that side.
If you encourage them to do so, I'd be thrilled, Rob, as long as they come.
Rutland Radio.
So that splashing is all of this water inside the Collie Western Sleigh Mine. It's a bit damp down here. I'm with Nigel Smith. So we've got our hard hats on, we've got our high-vis jackets, and it's really amazing down here. I've never been down a mine before, but it's a bit different to what I was expecting. It's so much bigger, and obviously the machinery can come down here, but did it used to always be this big?
Oh, not at all. The mining sort of started back in the 1600s. Everything was then took out by hand, working in enclosed spaces, working underneath the rock to dig it all out. So it's certainly nowhere near as spacious and easy working conditions as what it was then.
So much history in mining, and you've even got the old mine shaft that's still here.
Yeah, we've still got the old mine shaft, and that's used for the emergency exit route, and also for the bats to use that we've got in the other side of the mine, and they're able to use that side of the mine, and we're not disturbing them.
So mining down here for the Collie Western Slate, it went until the 60s, didn't it? And then it closed in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, the history of Collie Western Slate certainly goes back to Roman times, and then more started in the 1600s, where it was, took out and put on all local buildings, used as a local material on roofs, on farm buildings, right the way up to prestigious buildings. So material that was used a lot in those days.
And you've reopened recently, so how come you've reopened again?
In the late 60s, early 70s, the mining of Collie Western Slate all died away for several reasons, one being health and safety, one being the wage prices of the miners, and also at that time there was then an abundance of reclaimed Collie Western slates on farm buildings. So it was a lot cheaper then to use the reclaim than it was to do the mining. So the mining sort of side of it all fell away, and the reclaim was used. But now all the reclaim is running in low supply, hard to get hold of, and more expensive, quite expensive at the moment. So for anybody who wanted a good sized property, certainly King's College and one of the colleges, or any of the colleges in Cambridge or Oxford, they to get that reclaimed supply is not there. So we opened the Collie Western Slate Mine to get it back into mass production again.
So when you look at the slate, there's actually different layers to it.
Yeah, certainly. There's the Collie Western Slate seam is only about 1 metre deep. We've got a bedrock ceiling, and then the formation of the rock is totally different to what it is on the ceiling, to what it is 1 metre down, and then underneath that Collie Western Slate seam is compressed sand. To get the Collie Western Slate out, we remove the sand, the compressed sand, which is a lot easier to remove, and then we peel away the layers of Collie Western Slate to the floor, where it's then transported by forklift dumper truck up to the surface.
And this is all supported by, obviously, these proper bricks, but over this side, it's just a pile of bricks holding the roof up.
Yeah, obviously we're using it as a full working mine. We've had to meet the mining regulations and build concrete piers to make sure everything's safe down here. But historically, to hold the ceiling up years and years ago, that all they did was stack one big lump of stone on top of another until it reached the ceiling, and that's how it works, and it's still visible down here today.
So how long is the tunnel that we've walked down and the machines drive down?
What we've had to do is form a new tunnel from an existing adit. We formed a new tunnel. It's about 80 metres long. That got us to the mining face of where all the mining finished in the late 60s, early 70s.
And we've just hit a wall of slate, so the machines chip away at this.
Yeah, that's it. That's the mining face, and that's how it was all finished years ago in the 60s. But that's where we're at now, and hoping we're looking to get out about 200 tons of colorless slate a year, and probably a total mining life of 10 years of getting colorless slate out.
So how far does the Collyweston slate go?
It's a job to know exactly, but we certainly don't see any reason why it doesn't just keep going into the neighbouring field. So yeah, I think the quantity is still out there and can be carried on.
Once the slate's been chipped away, it's carried back through the tunnel on the machines and it's brought up onto land, and then you put it in these water tubs.
Yeah, the slate then gets saturated in water tubs to be then drained. Then the water tubs then go into the freezer. There's about 11 at a time goes in the freezer. The water in the log, in what we call log, Collyweston slate stone, the water in there then freezes and then causes the slate to fracture, to split, causing cracks in the slate, which then makes it easier then for the clivers to split the slate.
Once it's all split, then what happens after that?
It may take 3-4 times in the freezer before it all splits down nicely into nice 10mm, half an inch slates, and then they go down into the processing to be dressed and parted.
And then put on the roof.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.